Just the only thing.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for being here. Commissioners, thank y'all for being here. We have everyone here tonight. Glad to see that. We will now begin our committee meetings for Monday, February the 12th. And before so, Mr. Neesmith has asked to address us. Mr. Neesmith?
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back with everybody. I just want to let everybody know what's happened to my wife. The 28th of November, I came in from the bedroom to the den, and she had got up and went in there and fell against, we got two recliners, fell against one and knocked against the light. And I said, what happened? And she said, I fell. I pulled the heart monitor out, and her blood pressure was sky high. I called 911, and we took her straight to UT. We got her at UT, and they went and run tests and everything on her, and they did an MRI the next day, and she had had two strokes, one behind her head and one on her left-hand side. It had left her mouth dropped, no control of her hand, no control of her arm, nothing. So the doctor come in, and he told me, he says, we want to talk about long-term disability. I said, no, we're going to talk about short-term disability. And he brought in his speech therapist, occupational therapist, and physical therapist. That's the last time I saw him till the day before I left. And got in there, and a little girl from 6th floor came down. I said, what floor is that? She said, that's stroke floor. And I said, well, my wife had two strokes. Why hadn't she up there? They said, well, when you get overrun, they put you down here. But they didn't do any therapy with her. I took and she held her arms out, and Ann's arm would go down. And you tell her to touch her nose, she'd liable to touch out here. No control, couldn't move her wrist. No, just everything on that right side was just dead. So I took that plastic glove that they had, and I rolled a towel up in it, stuck it up in it, and they had a roll of tape there, and I taped it together, and I had her start squeezing that thing. But before that, I'd prayed for my wife's recovery. And when you pray and want God to answer your prayers, and you're sitting there and you're seeing your prayers answered, and people think there's not a God, somebody needs to wake up.
Amen.
The next day after she squeezed that thing, she touched her nose. I give her a hairbrush, she brushed her hairbrush. I put toothpaste on her toothbrush, and she brushed her teeth. The next day, it was just altogether something new. She was coming around. She could feed herself the third day, but she couldn't, get the fork. She couldn't move it around. It was just like that. You go in, but she got where she could rotate the spoon, the fork, and everything. So she did that. And we was there for 2 weeks. I didn't leave the hospital the whole time. If you ever try to sleep down at UT hospital, it's when your back's hurting when you go in there, and it's really hurting when you leave out. But I sent her up, we took her up to Life Care. I told Life Care, I said, she'd been down there 2 weeks and never had a shower. The guy brought a little tub in there with some of that soap where you can wash, you don't have to rinse it off. I said, what's that for? He said, will you give her a bath? I said, excuse me, that's not my line of work. That's your job. But anyway, she was there 2 weeks. I changed her, she was bedridden with a diaper. I changed her diaper, cleaned her, washed her off, all but 4 times the whole time she was down there. But when I went to Life Care, they give her a bath the first hour she's there. 2 hours later, occupational therapist there, physical therapist there, and they worked with her about 3 hours every day. And she just made all kinds of improvements. Just was walking on her own without the walker. I borrowed Edna's walker, but I didn't need it. She used it one time to get in the house. But we stayed there for nearly 2 weeks, and of course it's all about the dollar. It's all about hospitals, all about the dollar. You get your insurance, you pay your insurance, but when you actually need it, it's not what you think it's gonna be. But anyway, they sent us home, and I got emeritus, I believe it's emeritus. Emeritus, they are fantastic. They came in there, this big guy, Paul from Mooresburg, and he walked her, he had her walking a line, left foot in front of the right, just right on down the line. And I tried that. I can't do it. I can't do it. But they started doing her therapy with elastic, raise it up, and then you hold it up here and you raise it down. And he told me, he said, Wayne, he said, I think she's as strong as she's ever been. I said, I think she's strong as she's ever been. And they released her a week ago, 2 weeks ago today. 2 weeks ago today.
Amen.
So she's good, but when you're fighting something like double strokes with dementia, you've got a problem.
Right.
And you hate to say it, but it's full blown now. Sometimes she don't know me. And I come up Friday to get my book, and I was parked out front, and I said, you stay in the car? She said, okay. I was down there getting my book, and they called from upstairs, and she'd got out of the car. She was in the courtroom. I don't remember doing it. It's just, so. But anyway, your prayers you had for Ann, they worked. They worked.
God.
And I saw them working right in front of my eyes. It's amazing. If I could keep my soft heart like that from now on, I'd be doing great.
Amen.
But I've already slid once. When I had that plastic glove on, my wife would squeeze it. And when she'd squeeze it, them fingers would pop up. Well, I talked to the guy at UT, I messed up. I should have glued 2 of them fingers down. But they sent me a report wanting me to evaluate them. How would I evaluate them? I wouldn't send nothing back down there. When your wife's there 2 weeks and don't get a shower and you got to change the bedpan and she's down there with strokes and don't get therapy, something's wrong with that program.
Amen.
If you're short-handed, you can't be that short for 2 weeks.
Amen.
But I want to thank everybody for their prayers.
Praise God.
Wayne, we're glad you're back with us, and most certainly we're glad your wife's doing better.
Yeah, she's doing.
You have been in our hearts and minds, and
Yeah, she's doing great. It's all that.
we hope for continued success with that.
Good.
So we'll move, just for anybody that needs to know, in the back of the room, there is a copy of our rules that we do have in print, and also today's agenda, if anyone would like that, in the back of the room. So here we go. We'll open up. First on the agenda, Justice Center Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Horner, or Chairman Horner, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone who wishes to address the committee at this time, may do so. Seeing none. Item 3, there's no business, no old business. Item 4, new business. Item 4A, Justice Center project update. Tony Pettit, Burwell Construction.
Good to see you, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Fantastic story. I'm going to go through this and just interrupt me if you got questions. We're going to do the report first, and then I think next on the agenda is another change order. So we'll go through this.
When I saw him,
Yeah. Not me. Okay, so our current contract amount through change order 16 is $94,310,547.16. Billed through the end of January, the contractors billed out $71,718,11.16. So that equates to 76.04% complete. However, the balance to finish is $22,592,536. So it's still a big job over there to get done. When you look at what's the balance to finish, 22 million don't buy what it used to, but that's a lot of construction. The stored materials, we've always tracked that ever since the beginning because we've always worried about the escalation of inflation and material prices and so we're trying, the contractor and the subcontractors are trying to buy to protect the inflation factor in this thing. And stored materials is $8,144,000. That's either on-site or off-site. When it's off-site, we get pictures, certificate of insurance. Sometimes I go and look at it in whatever warehouse it is. I think the furthest we went was Baldwin, Georgia, to look at some steel cells. Now they're all on-site and installed. So when you factor in that $8 million worth of stored material, actual construction is 67.41% complete. So we're over the halfway mark as far as stuff going on. And then there's things to look at again instead of a bunch of precast out there. The roof work's going on. It's buildings generally in the dry. The way the construction of the roof is, you got a coat and of one layer, and then you have insulation and another. First coat's waterproof, but then they build up for insulation and another waterproofing. So it's beginning to be complete. Miscellaneous concrete continues going through the building. There's some security walls on the courthouse side in there where defendants and people that are residing there stay in secure areas, and that's built with more durable, more secure materials, and that continues to go on. There's also some partition walls in between all the floors and stuff. There's a picture there. We'll go through these pictures in a second and see if anybody's got any question. Exterior sheathing is the green stuff you're seeing as you go by. That's continuing. And then on top of that green stuff, sheathing, is a vapor barrier that's sprayed on, foamed in place, kind of presents a weather-tight barrier between the brick and the inside of the walls. The brick sample wall mock-up is down there around where the contractor's using that house, and if you want to go by and see that brick, it's going to match the brick that's already up on the precast walls. Each time the architect comes in, they review different details of that mock-up to make sure we construct it the way the architect's got it designed. Interior studs are being installed. The elevator crews are on site and they're working on elevators, and fireproofing is ongoing. Substantial completion is still scheduled for August 1st. I do think that the contractor has been delayed about 8 or 9 days. He hasn't formally submitted anything. The good news for us is weather is the only remedy for time for weather. I'm trying to be legal about this. The only remedy for time for weather delays is time only. So we don't have to pay for any extra general conditions or anything like that should the contractor be delayed for weather. Any questions so far?
Mr.
Okay.
Burrow, what about the update on the fallout that we had last month, that we had the change order? Is there any?
It's not falling any further, and they're contracting out with the low apparent bid that we talked about, and it's not repaired yet.
Okay.
But they've got it protected to where it's not gotten any worse.
Okay.
The report yesterday, I read a daily report every day. They got 2.5 inches of rain from Friday afternoon until yesterday. So not good fishing weather either. Now, how do I take this over? Just push a button?
Can I ask
Sure.
is there a tiny chance that the jail would be finished before the Justice Center?
Well, that's a good question, and the jail could be finished. The jail side has to be certified. So what's going to happen, according to the schedule, is that thing gets almost complete. The county staff will come in and start moving in, but they won't occupy probably until it's like a month ahead as far as being complete.
Okay.
in the meantime, TCI has to certify it, architect has to go through, there's all kinds of like smoke tests and stuff like that, make sure it doesn't burn down. I mean, we're doing it right, but they have to do all those tests. While that's going on, we'll finish
I see.
the Justice Center,
Yes.
move the furniture in, and hopefully we'll be in there probably operational in October.
Okay.
Substantial completion's August 1st, but substantial completion means it's ready for TCI to certify.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So this is a picture of from the they got this rotated. So this, if you're standing there and you know the Smoky Mountains to the south, this is southwest corner here. So, no, southeast corner, excuse me. And you're looking in, I want you to pay attention to those two holes that's on the running north-south in the, if it's planned. Those two doors are going to be door frames, what you're seeing there. And we'll look out those in a little bit. But anyway, shows that green sheathing. If you look up on top, they've got, this is from 3 weeks ago, they got the insulation up there. That's all those white stacks of stuff. The rooftop units, or some of those are set. And you can see back toward the other side, you can see the roofing started. There's a closer shot of that. There's the retaining walls that you see, the site staining walls. And this is actually a little entrance. Those two openings there is blown up there. This is from the inside on the first level. What's going on now is these stairs and that mezzanine is being constructed on all floors and all sections. So that's being welded in place.
So that's what you were talking about, so that you could see through the railing? Is that
Yeah,
what?
the stairs. See
Yes,
the
sir.
stairs back
Yes,
there
sir.
from this shot? We made them open stairs
Right.
in a change order.
Yep.
And that's to allow the people from the control room, which would be up higher than this, to see underneath those stairs.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, okay.
That's the block partition wall. That continues on out. That's a short wing at kind of a high security area. And beyond that, you can kind of see the security wall that's going out to the rec area. That's
Okay.
outside. That's looking on the other side, looking back into the jail. This is your courtroom side. Right now, this is a picture. It's kind of wide open. You still see some steel studs opening, and this is the judge's quarter here, and so that's going to be judges' offices. To the far end of the hall will be where the jury deliberation happens on that far side. This is kind of looking back into the upper portion of the clerk's office. I'm basically standing in the first courtroom there, looking back toward that entrance that we were talking about, and that's records straight ahead there. Right in front of me, you'll see those steel plates on the floor. That becomes the attorney-client consultation right there, and it's multi-use for whatever's happening there. This is the two doors we were seeing in the exterior picture. Now we're looking back out to the other side. That's kind of a little lobby. That's it. Okay. Any questions on any of that?
When you get to the end, I have a question, but I'll wait till you
Okay.
get finished, sir.
Okay, well, I'm done with that part.
Okay? Well, my question basically is, for this change order, has it been provided to the jail contract attorney? Is the first question.
No, I misspoke then. I'm not talking.
You're fine. I'll wait.
I'm not talking about the change order yet unless y'all are ready to go into
Okay.
it. So.
I'll wait, sir. Thank
Okay,
you,
all right.
darling.
Yeah.
Anyone else? 4B, the change order, number 17.
Okay. So this change order, it encompasses two PCOs, potential change orders. And like I said before, we got a number of these. They're up to 86 or 87 now. And it's just things that may come to pass or things that may be needed as a change order. Some of them go away, some of them get resolved, some of them's no cost. Some of them are credits, not near enough credits from the owner's side, but some of them happen that way. So this is PCO 78 and PCO 80. And the first one is furnish and install a temperature sensor downstream of the heat recovery wheel, all outside air units. And the architect sent us an explanation of this. And then in her explanation, she said this is considered an omission. Okay? So we'll talk about that in a minute if there's questions. Then there's PCO, and first of all, PCO 78, it was discovered by the HVAC contractor. You bring in, code requires you to bring in fresh air to keep, just years ago we had sick building syndrome, and now we figured out if we bring in enough fresh air, you have, that prevents having a sick building. So when you bring this in, it's either very cold or very hot and moist. And then these temperature sensors that's in this change order reads that temperature as it's being in, and it kicks in either the air dryer, for lack of a better term, or a cooling agent or a heating agent for heat recovery when you bring that fresh air in. We just have to bring in fresh air, and we got to be able to treat it when we come in. Those sensors weren't in the project on this, okay? The architect omitted them. The engineers omitted them. She has said and claimed it's considered an omission. All right? Now, this is the part we don't like. If it had been in there, we'd have paid for them. They weren't in there. Now we got to pay for them. But we always, from an owner's perspective, we're always saying we got to pay a little bit of a premium because it's not done under a competitive bid. It's a change order. So that's what happens here. So that's one of the things we want to do when and we have not. I'll just go ahead and ask the question, and you're welcome to ask another question. We have not met with the attorney on this change order. We have discussed this in our meetings. We have meetings every week, but we have big meetings every other week to discuss stuff like this and why we need them and what they cost. And this has not been run in front of the attorney. Okay, but it's necessary to make the building function correctly and economically. The thing that if you were the owner, you might be able to say, I'm not getting it under a competitive situation, I'm getting it after the fact. It's a change order. And I really don't know how much the premium is. That's just the point. Nobody really does. But, you know, I made a note on the change order because it's a good question. Maybe it's a $1,500 premium because you'd have to pay for them anyway. But when you look at the labor and look at the materials, they do a good job splitting it all out. But I really don't know what the premium is, but it's a good question, and the question needs to be brought to the designer. PCO number 80 is the additional lighting exterior of the building. Now this one, City of Marshtown's electrical inspection just brought it to the attention of the contractor, electrical contractor, that each exit ought to have a light fixture at it to brighten up its code. They tried to determine if you had enough ambient light from site lighting to do that, meet that required code. But the city inspector said, no, you really need the light underneath the canopy or right there at the door. Now, the architect sent the explanation back and said he added lights to the exterior building required by code. That's her explanation. It was required by code. And then she said this is considered an omission. So there again, you have something that if you'd had been in the job originally, they would have figured that in your bid. You wouldn't specifically see that lined out as exterior lights. You would have been lump sum bid from the electrical contractor. You just don't know what the premium is. And when I considered the $1,500, I considered both these things, but I really don't know either.
Is my question, I'm sorry, I got in front of somebody.
Those two things been in the original plan?
Yes, they should have been in the original plans. It's a big job, it's a complicated job, and it was an omission. The architect says it's an omission. If it had been in the job, though, let's just say that it would have, the premium would have been a little higher. I mean, the cost of the job would have been a little higher. The what is the change order? $26,000. It might have been 24. I don't know. So, should have been in there. It's hard to catch everything. It's a pretty big building, but I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it should have been, to answer your question, yes, should have been in there. You got to be by code. And you got to make it function correctly with regards to that. Mr. Naismith?
So you're saying on these temperature sensors, we didn't know we had to have them to start with?
We didn't realize
When it was bid?
when it was bid, those temperature sensors were not shown on the drawings. We had to have them to make it work correctly.
Whose responsibility was that, having them on there?
To show them on the drawings, it's the designers.
Okay, the next thing on the lights.
The lights is, I think they determined that the lights, they just provide the lights rather than try to make somebody angry about proving the ambient temperature. But the architects has stated in an email back to us when she explained these two issues that it was an omission. So
But that
from
issue
that
about the
perspective,
light,
they should have been on there and they left them off.
the issue for the lights came from the city.
The city
Light
called
engineer.
out that the requirement for the code needed lights there. Now, whether the engineer thought he had enough ambient light from site lighting to fill the code, I don't know. I just know that this is the best way to solve it and settle that issue with the electrical inspector.
I understand that you probably need all the lights you can get, but I can't figure out why we didn't know that to start with. Same thing with these sensors. We knew we was gonna have those units up there.
But
So,
it was truly
that's-
just left out. Nobody put it in, no
That-
designer, no engineer put them in there. And
My opinion, that one changeover, we shouldn't have to do anything with that because the architect should have caught that. That should be their responsibility.
And it may be, but what you got is you got an architect that omitted it, didn't put it in the job, but you got a contractor and these subcontractors installing it. They still need to be reimbursed for that work.
Yeah. You understand that?
That's-
You gotta pay for it.
This
You gotta
change
pay
order
for
is for
your,
the contractor.
gotta pay for your material, and then you gotta pay somebody to put it up.
Right. This change order today is not anything that we're paying the architect. It's what we're paying the contractor.
It's what we're paying a contractor to do it.
Yeah. So then we'll go back to the architect with our list of grievances.
Because if the architect had had it on there, we wouldn't be going through this now, would we?
Right. I wouldn't have to be up here talking. I could be home eating supper.
But we would have still paid for it.
Yeah, we're still gonna have to pay
Yeah.
for it.
You would have paid, yeah, but you'd paid for it anyway had it been in the bid. We just wouldn't know.
So it wouldn't matter. I mean, it's,
But maybe we wouldn't have paid a premium for it. I don't know what the premium is. The designer does a pretty good job making them break it down, and there's pushback, and that's how come these don't go in order. Because we're still arguing about some, and some of them we're not. So there's pushback on all these. Yes, ma'am.
Is it normal for things like this to pop up and
Yes, ma'am. That's why I want to retire, but yes, ma'am, it is.
how many more of these do we need to expect?
They've slowed down. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like every time I'm here that I'm.
Amen.
But they really, we have a project. Myself have we call it a PITS list, because it is a PITS, project issue tracking sheet. And now it's down to 3 or 4 items. So, and we're still debating on how we address those items. The next change order you're going to see is going to be owner options to make the building better. And they're a lot more easy to talk about. I kind of relate it to a car. You know, you got to have tires. Nobody gets excited. Most people, Mr. Naismith may get excited about tires, but I really don't. But I like radios and cup holders and stuff like that. And the things that we're going to see coming up are gonna be things like that we have an option on. This one, these two right here, we've got to have
Okay.
to make the building work right for the first one and to meet code for the second one.
Quick question. You said that the electrical inspector for the city, and this is off the wall because I know nothing about what you do. I'm completely blind in that part. But should they not have been aware of the codes for this area when they designed that?
Yeah, I mean, the architects fessed up and said it was an omission, so.
In other words, we
just
should have
do
had a
that.
more qualified architect.
Yeah, she's pretty qualified, but I mean, it's a big group over there, and then you got electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers, civil engineers. All those people are trying to come together and put a plan together, and the normal thing is some things get left out. I've never been on, and I've been doing this since I was in the office. I've been doing this since I was 28 years old. And I've never seen one go through without any change orders.
Well, I'm going to ask a rude question.
Okay.
You know that it's not been too long ago since they neglected the drain lines and they neglected the door locks, and this is a jail, I believe.
Yep.
So how do you sensibly overlook those items? I know, I'm putting you on the set, but
But,
they need to look closer.
Yeah.
We either needed someone more qualified or something somewhere.
Okay. Here's the positive. Okay, you're absolutely correct. The positive thing is they've caught it in time to where there's no rework. There've been a few things in here we've had to rework, and we've all complained about that. A lot of these things that we've seen, because you have a good field representation out of the architect and a great team on the contractor side, there's not been a lot of rework. I think we had some steel we had to send back and a couple of things like that in our history. But
Yes, sir.
the other thing, the positive thing, this thing slowed way down as far as the things that are missed.
Anyone else?
I just got a statement, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I don't like any of these any more than anybody else having to pay them. But if we were to take each one of these items to court at each time, we're gonna be 30 years trying to get this completed by the time you get all the court cases in. You know, we're building a case basically from where we talk about our list that we're gonna be taking back to the architect, and the more that we can show that they were negligent at one time, the better chance we are of collecting from them. And the other part of it is, if we stop on this, then the work stops. Then the next part of the job stops because they can't continue on because we've stopped this one, waiting on it to go through court and battle out and who's gonna pay for it. And then we're gonna start getting into additional costs. Big money. But as I hate to say it, we're just gonna have to do it and then seek retribution later.
Anyone else?
Well, I'm gonna kind of tag along on that. I think one thing we need to look at, and I'm not happy about any of this, but, I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar project, and these are fallible human beings working this. And these are, the things that we're seeing are minor things, whether it be a door lock or whatever. The building has to have those. So if they were put into the original, then we'd paid for it. Now we're finding that somebody left it out 6 months, 8 months later, so we still have to pay for it. So it's not like we're being gouged along the line. It feels like it. It really does. But these are, you know, human fallible mistakes. These are people that I'm sure are doing their best. And these are things that have to be done. So, you know, it's kind of like it's either in the original numbers or we're paying for it now. And so I don't think we should view it and, you know, in terms that it's wrong, doing us wrong. We ultimately get what we sought, and we pay for it, and we're gonna be happy with it.
Anyone else? If not, motion to approve this change order.
Motion.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All is carried. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Who are you addressing?
Mr. Chairman,
He
You
just
didn't
closed
ask-
the meeting. What do you need?
he didn't ask for discussion, and I had,
We don't have.
We had the discussion.
thank you. My mistake.
Are we clear?
Yes.
Move to our next committee. We'll call on our Budget Committee Chair, Bobby Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll call the Budget Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address the committee may come forward at this time. See none, so we'll move on. We have no old business. In new business number 4, the fiscal year 2024-2025 preliminary budget plan of action. I'll call on Finance Director Amanda Hagel.
We have two options as far as calendars go for our budget meetings. Calendar A incorporates a Saturday budget, all-day budget workshop. And then calendar B would be a more traditional, what you're normally accustomed to seeing, normally every Tuesday, Thursday, the months of May and June. So this is in here for the Budget Committee to vote on, to see which one you all would prefer to handle this year. If we do the Saturday, then we'll try to pass out a schedule, so every department and every office is in here all day, that we'll try to have an itinerary to go by. But that's what's presented tonight, and then you all can decide which way they prefer.
Saturdays are we talking?
Just one on May the 18th.
Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Richards.
No.
Just make a motion.
Oh.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, we can do the motion second. Go ahead.
All right, let's get the motion, please.
Make a motion, we choose Schedule A, Calendar A. Saturday.
Okay, motion is Mr. Richardson, second is Ms. Ahern. Now, we have any discussion or we have any questions? This is diverging off of our norm a little bit, but I think it's something that will work for us.
I have a question.
Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
When is graduation for high school?
19th, I believe.
The 19th, okay.
It's the
But-
Friday night before this.
No, it's 17.
Yeah.
17.
And this is the weekend before Memorial Day.
Right.
So it's not that weekend.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Yes, I'm just curious, have we talked to the other departments that they're willing to come in
Yeah.
on a Saturday?
I have not.
I just wonder how they,
I sent this morning, I had an email from the schools asking for a calendar, and I told them what would be presented tonight. And I just received an email back, thank you. But we've also tried to work around when the school board meets, so that will give them time to have their, requests in. As
I
far
was
as
just
talking to
curious.
other departments, we have not reached out to see, and if there's not much change in budget, then, or a special request,
Sure.
normally they don't
Sure.
come,
Right.
unless
and
you request that.
they could convey it another way as well.
True.
Just, okay. All right. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll offer some alternatives if they can't be.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's vote on Plan A calendar A, to meet on Saturday, May 18th, beginning at 9 a.m. and run for the duration, whatever it takes. We're not really sure how long it'll take, but that'll narrow it down to just one day. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Hall and the Budget Committee. We'll now move into our Finance Committee. Chairman Hahn, you're recognized.
We'll call the Finance Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address the Finance Committee may come to the podium at this time. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if I'm not in the right area, but I think I am. Can we be more specific in some of the, like in the expenses that we had? Because I found out just before the meeting what one was, and I didn't have, it was the second page of the finance paper. It said like adult activities. I had no clue what that was. I found out before the meeting what it was for senior center. We're just okay with all this. I was wondering if it's possible we get a little bit more
Definition of what each means.
Yeah, because another one I had was just like, it said for nursing home, that's all it says. And I'm probably for everything. I was just like a little bit better description is all. That's it. Thank you.
We could check on that. I'm not sure if that's exactly possible, but we'll check on that. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Let's move on. We have our, excuse me, item number 3, we have our expenditure reports and our monthly checks. And once again, you've had those. You have a chance to look over those. If you have any questions, we have no old business, so we'll move down to number 5A.
Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman, excuse me. On the monthly checks, I have one question, if I may, of our county attorney. His bills show an email to Christy Brown, CTAS, on 1/5/24, read the distance rule, and I'm just curious which distance rules those emails are about, and what information or advice did she give? That's for our county attorney, Mr. Capps.
Mr. Capps, can you address that, please?
Yeah, I will, but I think in the future, I'm gonna ask the commission, rather than asking these questions of me out of the blue, if you wanna ask me to answer it when I come here, and I can do so, I will, but I think I'm gonna ask the commission to ask me rather than an individual, commission. But I will answer this. It has to do with the beer permit district. Okay?
What advice did she give you, or what information, sir,
We
please?
cannot install a new distance rule because we've abrogated our own rules.
Hold on, she's got her phone going. You may
My
need to repeat
apologies, I
that.
thought I had it off. My apologies, sir, I thought I had it off.
And it also has to do with the 300-foot zoning rule, our zoning ordinance and the 300-foot rule. And the fact that we have already abrogated our rules, I asked them, can we use the 300-foot zoning rule? We cannot. That was their opinion, that we cannot use. Once we've abrogated our rule that we have through the state statute, our zoning ordinance would not carry over and allow us to have a beer permit district with churches and schools that we discussed here before.
Thank you, Mr. Capps.
May I reply to him, please?
You may.
Thank you, sir. That one was close to my heart, being it was a church. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Item 5A, that's Mr. Barry Poole, maintenance, repair, sanitation, vehicles.
Commission, I'd like to just defer that till we get to the budget amendment. Is that okay?
I don't see why it wouldn't, as far as I'm concerned.
Either way, we can do it now or do it later.
And you want to defer it to when?
The budget amendment down there at,
J. Okay, under J. Got it.
J4 and 5.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Barry. We'll do that, yeah, no problem. Well, Okay. Moving on down to item 5B, commercial lease agreement, election commission, Mr. Jeff Gardner. Not here. Okay. This has to do with the amendment for leasing some property to store, I'm thinking that's right, to store the voting machines, election machines. And you have in there the agreement and where it's witnessed, where it's taken care of. I've looked over it, and I think everything looks, we do know, we knew going in that there was I believe it's his mother's property.
Yeah.
So we knew that going in, and we're okay with that. We're okay with all the stipulations. So, anybody have any questions or any other comments? Yes,
My understanding is it's a 6-month thing.
6 months,
Yeah.
yes.
And so when we get into our new, Mr. Mayor, when we get into our new health department building, or, anyway, Oak Tree, we'll have storage there.
That's the plan, yes.
Oh, good, thank you, thank you.
we're good to go.
Got a
Okay.
question.
Yes, sir.
Will we be ready to go to our new place in June? Do you think that's going to be it? Or are we going to have to extend this again? Okay, the other question I've got, it says it began on January the 1st. When did we move our equipment in there? Because it wasn't moved in on January the 1st.
No.
Because we didn't vote this until the end of January. So should we be starting our lease in January or starting our lease in February for 6 months?
I'm not certain. I think the machines have been moved in during the month of January, and maybe you can start on a particular date. Mayor, I don't know if we have an answer for that at the moment.
I don't, but if you guys can set the date.
I mean, you're talking about 2 weeks difference or even 3 weeks. I'm not certain the exact date that the machines have been moved. I mean, it's a valid point what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, we don't have anything on that, but I'm like you, I think it was at least the middle of January.
Yeah.
But just because we didn't move into then, if we agreed to the lease on January 1st, it's up to us to move things in, the machines
I think it was
in.
delayed because of snow too, I think.
Well, then that would fall on us, not the
Yeah, but
lease.
didn't we vote this, but we didn't vote it in until January.
January's meeting.
That's when we approved it to do the lease, was in January, so it wouldn't,
We'd gone through committees, and then during our commission meeting, we accepted. We just did not
right, in
have.
January, so we didn't accept to go into the lease
That was
until the middle part of
18th.
January.
January 18th.
It would end January 29th.
There you go.
People will help remember.
There you go.
So have we got a signed lease agreement?
No, sir, this is it.
That's what this is, so we've not signed the lease agreement yet, so we probably, has there been a verbal agreement with her for January 1st?
That's what the commission voted on in January.
So we have a verbal agreement
I mean, we can
as
go
such. No, I'm just saying, if we've agreed to January 1st, then I'm saying, we need to follow through with that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If we move it to February 1st, it would extend the lease out to
It
July.
would, it would, but we need to stand by what we agreed to.
That's what I'm saying. I think we agreed to, in our previous meeting in January, we would start the lease and take it through 6 months. Yeah, and they're in place now, so
Well, this says, under the agreement, it says, open date of February 2024.
item 1, it's talking about January to June.
Yeah, I understand that, but up at the top, under the agreement,
See, right at the very, yeah.
So,
Thank you.
maybe the attorney can address that, but if we agreed in January and we only sign it in July, in February, so that's not, we shook hands on it.
I want to joust the windmills here a little bit. This is, oftentimes these agreements get dated and they don't get signed at a later date. Or, you look at the intent of a contract, the intent is to have a 6-month agreement. And if you all want to modify that, I mean, I could modify it in an instant. You're not going to have it to sign. I know that may not be your proper decorum, but that is a fact. And if we're going to, if we know fairly much that it's going to extend beyond 6 months, as maybe Britton's already said, and if y'all want to do February, if they go in on January 29th, and you make it January 29th, in essence, you have agreed to the material of the contract, which is you're going to pay Ms. Gardner, what is it?
$3,000.
$500 a month.
$500 a month for storing these machines. There was also something in there indicating a pro rata calculation for days if that became necessary at the end of the term. So that also be made now. I think we obviously have a pretty good understanding of Ms. Gardner, and whatever you want to decide you want to do is going to be your decision. But it makes sense to me to make it from February 1, even though you approved it in January. If the actual storage of the machines didn't begin until the very end of January, then you're at liberty to approve it to run from February through July.
Okay.
That goes into the new fiscal year. But that's okay. Approve it.
Make your amendment.
I'd like to make an amendment to change the date from January the 1st to February the 1st through, February the 1st through July 1st. It'd be July the 31st, 2024.
May I caution you, we did take possession on January 29th.
Yeah.
That's what
So
you're
you
gonna
may
have a
want to
date
back
on it.
that
So,
up.
okay, let's make the amendment from January the 29th, 2024 to July 29th of 2024.
Be June 29th, wouldn't it?
Or would it be June? It'd be
June
June,
29th.
June 29th.
no, it'd be July 29th, because we're ending at July, June the 30th. It would have to go to July 29th.
That'd be 7 months. No, it'd be 6.
January to February, February to March,
My-
March to April, June.
My question is,
July.
when did
July,
we
oh,
agree to take possession? I know we don't, I know we're the contract, but did we tell her we were taking, when did we get the key, in other words? I mean, because I think we're obligated, once we said we've got the key, we're taking charge now. If that was January 5th, then I think that's, the onus is on us
Yep,
to pay that.
yep.
Now, on January the 8th, it says in my notes that we agreed to move the voting machines, and that was on the 8th
Right.
meeting.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we kind of,
So that's, I'm saying,
But was that the committee meeting? That wasn't the commission meeting.
it was the 8th, the committee, yeah.
Didn't vote on it till the last of
Okay, that's a good
January.
question.
Let me propose this, is that, you guys, the committee will consider February 1 through the end of July. And then I'll talk to Mr. Gardner, or Ms. Gardner about it, and then if they have any problem with it, we'll discuss it and prorate it.
I just want to do the right thing here, and if, if she's expecting a prorated January, then we need to do that. All right. So,
One of the
Yes,
questions, do we have a certificate of insurance with any particular date on it for what we're required to do?
That's a good question.
what was the answer to that? I'm sorry.
What, the answer to the insurance
Yes.
business?
Have
We
have
don't.
not
Mr.
had-
Bell said, Bill Britton said no.
No. Okay. All right. So, okay, we don't have a certificate of insurance?
Well, we're supposed to provide that.
Okay.
Item number 5.
Yes, but,
I didn't know if we had something with a date on it already.
well, I'm just saying, we got the machines in there, are they not covered?
Okay.
They're covered.
Okay.
Okay, good deal. All right, we're going to, make sure we got this straight, we're gonna vote to move forward February 1st through July 31st. And that's what we're gonna vote on. Any questions? That sound good?
Make an amendment and then
Yes.
prorate the other few days, right?
And prorate the other few days. So if we get into January, in which we are, we need to prorate those days based on $500 and whatever the math works out, and to run from February 1st through July 31st. Are we clear? Any other comments or questions?
You need a motion in a second for that.
Any other comments or questions? We need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Walker, we need a second.
Second.
Mr. Doty? Everybody straight? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed.
Okay, Finance Committee. Yeah, this is in Finance Committee, so we need to back up. Kyle, good amendment, but we need to back up.
They're not out.
We need a motion for the
Oh, I'm
amendment in
sorry.
Finance Committee.
I'll make a motion.
Thomas has made the motion.
For the amendment.
Yes.
We get a second for the amendment.
Second.
Mr. Harville seconds the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the amendment passes.
I apologize.
No worries.
No, good
Good
point,
point.
thank you. Item 5C, a resolution for DWR ARP non-collaborative state water infrastructure grants. Program Hamblen County, number 2022-2939, Russellville, Whitesburg Utility District. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, these next 3 items all deal with the American Rescue Plan TDEC Water Infrastructure Grant Program, and they all deal with us agreeing with or the procurement of engineering services for the water utility districts, the specific water utility districts who are receiving some funding to replace and repair water lines. Before I go to item C, I would like to withdraw item E, which is for the stormwater projects. We're not ready to award the engineering for that on item E. Item C is the procurement of engineering services for Russellville Whitesburg Utility District. It's the firm of W&W Engineering, the East Tennessee Development District, who is administering these grants for us, issued an RFQ, which is request for qualifications for engineering firm, and W&W Engineering received the highest rating. And so they're recommending that we adopt this resolution, which awards the engineering contract to W&W Engineering.
Do I have a motion?
Aye.
One second. Do I need a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have him, Mr. Neesmith.
Question, what about South Marshtown WID? I see they're not on this.
Their project that they initially submitted was rejected by the state, and so they're going to submit another project for their.
This will come up later.
Yes.
It will come up
It'll-
just like
yes.
these two.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, so we're leaving E off for now.
Yes, sir.
So let's vote on item C. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Can our motion get both of those? Or we need to
No,
do
just
that?
one motion. You did C.
On item D, we need a motion.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
Mr. Richardson, thank you, sir.
Now, the engineering firm on that one is GRW Engineers.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, why did we change engineering? Because you said you liked the first one.
Well, these two engineering firms, W&W, scored higher on Russellville-Whitesburg because they know the Russellville-Whitesburg
Okay, thank you.
system.
Okay,
And then on Alpha Talbot, this firm knows the Alpha Talbot.
okay, thank you, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We've omitted E for now. Let's move down to item 5F. County attorney fee increase. Mr. Capps.
I didn't know I was going to address the commission, but I will. 13 years ago, our hourly fee was set at $150 an hour, which was, I guess in our opinion, very reasonable, very low. So 13 years ago, $150. We believe it's necessary. Everything has gone up. Our costs and overhead have gone up, and so we're believe it's necessary to raise our fee by $25 to $175. You will consider that included. As far as attorney's fees are concerned, I think it's very reasonable. It's not extremely low, but the 150 was quite low for the work that we did.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. Long, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Anybody have a question? And you said you'd been on that for 13 years?
13 years. Yeah.
13 years, okay.
Before Mr. Cantwell retired, about a year to a year and a half before he retired, he was raised to 150. That's where it is.
There are no questions or comments. We'll vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5G, low voltage package, RFP. Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, this is just an item for information is the bid document for the low voltage package, which low voltage is your computer cabling of the of the new building. Has been on the streets for 2 to 3 weeks, and the bid opening is this week. And so we just wanted to inform you of that until you will have the results of the bids. We'll distribute that to everyone this week, and it's be on the agenda for County Commission next week.
No action necessary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving down to 5H. Memorandum of Understanding between Hamblen County, Tennessee and the Avenue Church for Food Insecurity Grant. Mr. Mayor.
State of Tennessee awarded the Avenue Church and Morristown Hamblen Child Care Centers food insecurity grants, which they applied for through Hamblen County. And so this is, this particular document, this memorandum of understanding between the Avenue Church and Hamblen County is to execute the grant whereby Hamblen County will buy the items that the church has applied for, and then we will transfer ownership to them. But we have to go through all our purchasing requirements, but this is just the document that we need to meet the standards of the grant. So it's an MOU between the county and Avenue Church for the grant proceeds.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Does anyone have any questions for the mayor?
Mr. Mayor, what exactly do they do with that?
They have a food program, a food pantry program that they do. They have some house-to-house deliveries. From what I understand in talking to their representatives is they also have food at different schools. And so they deliver the food to the schools and they're given to the children for the weekends, that kind of thing. So it's a food distribution.
So it's open to anybody now, kind of just not Avenue Church members?
That's correct, yes. They're serving, yes.
Well, they
Good
distributed
question.
550,000 pounds of food last year. So I've heard some, I'm sure everyone has some really positive, so.
Bobby, was there something about vehicles and coolers and stuff like that in that?
On the list of needs, yeah, I don't think vehicles, but if you look at the
Put
equipment,
in there.
you'll see coolers, ovens, prep tables. Well, I take that back, there is a van there. So there's $153,000,
How much?
$153,000
Total.
of items.
Total.
Oh,
There's a refrigerated truck and a delivery van truck.
but that's everything down to grocery bags, boxes, packing tape. It was all listed
Will
in
the
there.
grant pay for part of that?
All of it.
Pays for all of it. It's a 100% grant.
Grant pay for everything?
Now, any questions, any more questions?
Cheap. Cheap.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion does pass. Then we have item 5A, I know the mayor mentioned that there, but the memorandum of understanding between Hamblen County, Tennessee and the Morristown Hamblen Child Care Centers for food insecurity grant. You have anything else you want to?
No, sir.
Okay. Need a motion on that?
So moved.
Mr. Doty, do I need a second?
Second.
Mr. Harbor, thank you very much. Anyone have any comments?
So, wait a minute. So this is kind of like the Avenue Church. They applied for a grant
Right.
and, okay. So it sounds like a lot of folks could have applied. They
Yeah,
just,
I was surprised that no more did than
Okay.
these two agencies.
wow, me too.
We promoted it. I called different agencies. We had public hearings, public meetings, and they're the only two submitted applications.
You can take the horse to water, but, yep, thank you.
Well, their total bill is $7,700, which is considerably less, but I will tell you this, and being a longtime educator, I know we got other teachers and former teachers and whatnot. We had some of our schools that would have food pantries within the school, and kids would come by on Friday and get food for the weekend. And you want to get your heart broken?
Yeah.
I still do that.
And they still do that, yes.
Yeah.
And clothing and other things. So, there's people out there, these kids especially, I mean, they do go hungry and they need all the help they can get. It's not their fault, so it's incumbent upon us to do that.
Amen.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Move down to item 5J, Fund 101, County Clerk's Office, $700. Ms. Hale, get up here.
The county clerk's office is needing to purchase a new currency counter, and that's what this budget amendment is for, to move money from their reserve account to their office equipment line in order to purchase that counter.
Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Long, second, Mr. Richardson, thank you. Any questions?
Just what Dan had brought up is that this is on the webpage. You can go into the webpage and see what that $700 is going for. Okay. All right. But you can't if you pick up an agenda right there.
If you look at the packet online, it will have the same detail that is
Okay.
in your binders.
Okay.
So, I know some of the descriptions sometimes, we just put a department, not necessarily the detail on the agenda or, even on the summary page. But if you look further back in here, you'll see the detail.
Thank you.
But I'm happy anytime, that, if you have any other questions, just let me know.
Well, I think they just count it by hand and save the $700. Any other questions or comments? No off-the-wall comments like mine now.
Question mark.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5J2, Fund 101, General Administration Projects, $59,800.
Chairman, this budget amendment is to move money to cover the purchase of new network switches that we need to increase our speed for our computer networks here at the courthouse and Justice Center. And as I put in the budget amendment, we're moving funds from some excess insurance funding we had, and so there's no money being taken out of fund balance or new funds, just moving some around.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Harwell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you, gentlemen. Any questions? We like it when you move money and not have to get more. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 5J3, Fund 101, School Resource Officer Program, $2,300,000.
So this budget amendment funds the SRO program that began in July. We have finally received the state funding from the city of Morristown and from the schools. We were waiting on the city's money, so it came in January, and now I've been able to appropriate the money to the expense lines and then show the revenue that we have offset that with.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Cutshaw, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hartle, thank you.
So this is basically just a bookkeeping
Yes.
issue.
We hadn't allocated any lines, expense
Right.
lines during the budget. That's what this will cover, their
Right.
salaries and
Right.
their vehicles and equipment.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Chairman,
Yes.
my question is for Sheriff Bowens. I'd like to know how many SROs we currently have, please.
We still need 3,
So how many do you have?
16.
Thank you, sir.
We really need 5, correct?
Well, if they build another school for Miller Boyd, we will.
That put one in every school.
Yeah, for like Russellville, we have one that's for Russellville Intermediate and Elementary. So he goes back.
Same thing at Manley
Same as Alpha
and Manley.
and Manley.
We're gonna try to correct that.
Correct.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5J4, Fund 116, Sanitation Department. Excuse me, $92,500.
This budget amendment is one that I have worked with Barry, and he was going to come back up and speak to you on the maintenance and repair service on his equipment. There was also additional funds needed in towing and lubricants, and then based on what we've spent so far this year, I think we'll need some extra funds in the other lines listed. But again, we're able to move money from other lines and not use fund balance for what we're needing at this point. But I'll let Barry give you the questions about, because the majority of it is for maintenance and repair.
Mr. Poole, do you have anything you want to say, or just field questions?
The maintenance and repairs going to the tune of about $55,000 to $60,000 per quarter. And we need an engine in a brush truck. It's been sitting, and we've got a couple of opinions on it. And the way, of course, action, according to what we've been told, is to replace the engine rather than trying to rebuild it, in pieces. So that $80,000 will cover about 20 or 30 of what we need to get through the year for just general maintenance and repair. And then there's $50,000 there to replace the engine in the brush truck. So I know it's not what you want to hear, but that's what it's taking to keep the brush truck fleet and the garbage truck fleet up and going. So we'll have to put money into it to keep her going.
Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Long, any questions for Mr. Poole? Very good. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5J5, Fund 131, Highway Department, $121,200.
The budget amendment here for Highway Department is going to increase the appropriations in the listed expense lines, hopefully to get us through the end of the year. Again, using money from other lines, not fund balance. And the majority of it, as you can see, is for salt. And Barry has asked to replenish his supplies.
She said basically we just need to, we did replenish our supply and get ready for the next snow, but we have some after that. We won't have any. So we need to add to what we've got. You have to get ready to do it, or you have to store it right before the snow, and there's too many people waiting in line to get it, right before it snows, so we want to be ahead of the game if we can, so, excuse me.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cutshaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do I have any questions? We don't need the salt till it snows. Then we need it. So, no more questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn of the Finance Committee. Got a lot of work there. We'll now recognize the Personnel Committee and Chairman Doty. You go, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee to order. Do we have any visitors wishing to address this committee? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Item 3, old business. We have none. Item 4, new business. Item 4A is approval of education pay submissions. We have two of our associates that gotten their bachelor degree. Do I have a motion to approve these?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Holm. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is approval of military pay submissions, and there we have one. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Powell. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4C, Health Department Education Loan Support Policy. County Mayor Britton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request by the Health Department to add a policy to our employee handbook for specific positions at the Health Department where they would receive money through us money from the state of Tennessee to pay off student loans and in an effort to improve recruitment and retention of these specific jobs. And the sheet that was at your desk has more information on there and specifically lists the positions that would qualify for the loan repayment program, the physician, the nurse practitioner, registered nurse, an LPN, dentist, health service, dental hygienist, and dental assistant. Specifically, the health department is wanting to kickstart its dental program. They have a dentist candidate coming out of school that would start to work this summer at the Hamblen County Health Department. And this program would be used they're using it to recruit this dentist. And so we need to add this to our personnel policies. Now this is what's called a DGA employee, which is an employee that's paid by the county, receives county benefits, but the state reimburses us for. So the state would reimburse us for this loan payment for this employee. But we need to add, for all this to happen, we need to add this policy to our employee handbook. And Health Department Director's here, Ashley's here, if you want to ask her some questions.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is this I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is this a loan repayment program? What is it? Is it 100%, 70%, what?
A certain amount of money, like for the dentist, it's $100,000 per year for up to 2 years.
Pretty nice.
Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when they hire the employee and we're paying the loan, how long does the employee have to work with us?
3 years.
There's a contract, they apply for the loan reimbursement. So it's just not upon we recruit and hire a dentist that have loans and we automatically reimburse them. So they have to apply for it, and there's contractual agreements that if they don't serve their guaranteed amount of time for us to do the loan reimbursement, then there is a payback and some other stipulations to it. There's a pretty lengthy contract that also coincides with the policy as to what the stipulations are that we would offer them the loan reimbursement. And then it actually ends up being between the county and the lender, we don't pay it directly to the applicant. And then the state, it's a separate contract for that loan reimbursement. It won't come through our current county contract that covers salaries and the benefits that are elsewhere in the taxability.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, sir. I saw a young man who was going into diesel repair, and I said, hey, maybe we can do something like that. But their program, where he's going, is 16 months, and it'll all be paid for by the state, so we have no way of grabbing him, gee. But anyway, thank you. I'm glad. I hope this happens.
Anyone else? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We'll now move to the Public Services Committee. Chairman Mike Richardson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call the Public Services Committee to order. Any visitors wishing to address the committee about agenda items only, do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move forward. There's item number 3, old business, there is none. Item number 4A, interlocal agreement for non-disaster related and/or reoccurring sharing of law enforcement resources by and between Morristown Police Department and Hamblen County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Ted Mullins.
What this is, just a mutual aid agreement with the Hamblen County Sheriff's Office and the Marshtown Police Department. In case of a major event, for instance, we have a shooting, they come into the county, help us. Vice versa, we go in the city to help them answer calls. We work well together. We utilize their SRT team, their equipment. They come in, it's at no cost to us. When we help them, it's no cost to them.
Thank you, Chad. Mr. Sheriff. Any, well, I guess we need a motion on this.
Make a motion.
Motion, and a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ahern. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. Item B, 4B, surplus item, General Sessions Court. Ms. Teresa West.
It's an old copier that has already been surplus by register of deeds, and it's tore up and it's just not obsolete. And we're trying to empty out the building while we're doing it now, so we can get everything that's in the attic upstairs, or as much as we can, down here before the new building.
Okay, thank you. You have a motion?
So moved.
Chairman Cutchall, have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Howe. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the like sign. Motion carries. Item 5A, no action necessary. Matt's Hamblen County Homeless 2024 point in time count. Any discussion on that, Mayor? That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I did not see that report. Do we have that report? I missed that. Maybe it's just, no worries. Curtis, I'll get caught up. Thank you, Chairman Richardson. We'll now move to our RV Camper Study Committee. Chairman Long, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the RV Camper Study Committee to order. Is there anybody who wishes to address this committee at this time?
Hello, I'm Lonnie Morgan. I live at 2784 North Coffee Road, and I live in an RV. My home burnt in August of 2017, and I unwisely purchased a prefab building, moved it on my property, and I wasn't supposed to do that. And I came up and I paid my fine, or paid, squared up for that, and I moved out of it immediately. I'm not trying to break any laws. So then before I purchased the camper, I called and I said, am I allowed to put this camper on my property? And I was told, yes, you can. And now, this from me, I can't. I'm booked to my sister's camper. It doesn't look like nothing. Some of the pictures you all have showed that you took, wrote around, took pictures. Mine doesn't look that way. It's got underpinning. I keep my yard mowed. There's no junk in my yard. My grandkids' bicycles may be in the yard, but that's the extent of it. I understand that you're upset about people trashing out places and making it look bad, and I agree with you on that. And I do also understand the fire hazard of it, but at the same time, my house burnt in 30 minutes, and it took the fire department 48 minutes to get there. My home was down, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, gone. Gone. So I'm just asking you to really consider what you're doing here, and maybe alternatives to punishing the ones that don't know how to behave, that don't know how to look for something, and doesn't know how to put the trash in the trash can. Because not all of us live that way. I can't afford to be homeless again. This will be the 3rd time. Please reconsider or reconsider some of your rules, your regulations, maybe fining people for things. But just to throw me out in the streets. I've had my property since 2008, and I paid my land taxes. And I don't bother nobody.
I don't have anywhere to go.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the committee?
So, I live at 8150 West Point Drive. I see nothing wrong with anybody living in a camper if they have it hooked up to the septic tank and to their water.
Let me ask that question.
I did it in Pigeon Forge when I worked at Dollywood. And I was hooked up to a sewer and water. We have these little tiny homes, so why can't we have a camper? This lady, I feel sorry for her. I really do. If they keep it nice and pretty and clean, what's wrong with it? We've got places in Hamblen County that live in houses that need to be cleaned up. You can have 99 chicken coops, 120 chickens right on the road, because I know of one, and nothing's done about that. You know what? Y'all might have known, I don't know if you do or not, but I was diagnosed with cancer. I told your husband I was going to tell you, because I told him at City Council. I was diagnosed with liver cancer. I had a whole lot of churches praying for me. Even the Avenue. I taught that little boy in Sunday school when he was just a kid. Thrills my heart. But you know what? I had so many churches praying for me. And I went to my main doctor, my specialist, and he didn't see a thing. I shouted right in his office.
Praise God.
Because God is good. And he ain't just good sometime. He's good all the time. And I don't know what I would do without him. He's my best friend. He loves me, regardless if I'm good or if I'm not good, or if I don't have a good attitude or I have a good don't have a good attitude or I have a good attitude. So I think you should leave campers alone that are hooked up to septic systems and water. And if you want to make things good, like she said, find those who don't. Do your job and find them. Make them straighten up their act. Hamblen County needs a good cleaning up. I've always said that, and I always will. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address this committee? Okay, before you, you'll have a resolution 24. And what this does, the regulations on campers are already in place. What this does is amend the definition of a recreational vehicle. The Planning Commission passed this, and so it's before us tonight. And I'm going to ask Mr. McKinney to come forward and highlight us on the recreational vehicle.
We're bringing this back in front of you, asking to amend Article 5 of our zoning regulations to introduce the definition of a recreation. This will give our office a definition which states that they are not intended to be intended as a permanent business. This in turn would have this definition in our regulations where we wouldn't just be using building codes as a means of enforcement. This would help our office by having this in our regulations, stated in our regulations, which is not there at this time.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. McKinney? Mr. Neesmith?
I got a question. This lady back here, she said her house burned and she's living in a camper now. Or is she gonna rebuild?
I'm not sure. a mobile home would probably be a lot cheaper, a lot easier, that route would do. But, I paid for a permit, it's laying up there now, where I thought I, done a deal on a mobile home, was gonna be able to move it on my property, and the deal fell through, so I still have a $100 permit up there that I can't use.
I don't know if they say anything about it. If you're building or rebuilding, you can live in your camper till you get it done.
Yeah, but I can't promise you when I can start building, or, I can't promise you that instead of building, if I find a deal on a mobile home, that I won't move a mobile home on my property. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have the means to call a contractor and say, hey, come out and build me a one-bedroom home.
Your plans are you gonna do it, but you don't know when.
Yes, sir. I'm not leaving my property. I bought and paid for it, and I paid my land taxes. I will remain at 2784 North Coffee if I have to do it in a tent. I will remain on my property and live there.
You'd be legal in living in a camper then.
It'd be legal. I could live in a tent, and that's legal.
I think that's called a sticky wicket.
Anybody else?
I have one question, please. Is there not a way, I read your definition, but my question to you, and it's planning, and I missed the last planning commission, so I'll apologize up front. Why can we not put it forward that if they are hooked to sewer and they keep it clean, that there's no problem? I don't understand why we can't do this. It's much better for them to live in a camper than it is underneath the bridge in a box. So why can we not change the definition to the point that if they're hooked up to sewer, or if they dispose of their sewer properly? And let me be plain, I don't see running sewer out on the ground. I'd have never done that 20 years ago, and it was unbearable. And 4th of July sitting on my back porch. So I understand fully better than most folks, but I can't see why the Planning Commission cannot come forward with a way that if they are disposing of their sewer properly, or they're hooked to sewer, that they cannot issue something to take care of it. We've got...
Our zoning regulations do not allow, and they have been adopted for many, many years. They do not allow recreational vehicles to be a primary residence.
Can they not be amended? That's my next question.
Sure.
I can't answer that question. That's above my head. I can't answer that question. I'm the enforcement officer.
I understand that part.
But I do know that our zoning regulations, that is what they state. Now, there's provisions for, campgrounds, there's things like that, we don't have those, the state regulates those. There's other avenues, but allowing a mobile home or, a recreational vehicle or a RV or a camper to be used as a primary residence is against Hamblen County zoning regulations that have been in place for quite some time. I'm just asking for a definition. Our office is asking for a definition right now of a recreational vehicle to be in our zoning regulations and our definitions. How we proceed with this, how we go about enforcing this, it will move forward. We haven't discussed anything past this yet because we're going a step at a time to get these things taken care of. There's things that we're going to have to discuss with the county attorney. There's things that we're going to have to put into place that will help to enforce this and try to be as fair and give people an opportunity as much as we can. We're not jumping into this like we were Buck Waste and saying, throw your garbage away. I mean, this is a completely different situation. It's not going to something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that we're just happy to have to do, but it's.
If you read in this amendment, campers are allowed in campgrounds, RV sites, and mobile home parks. that's where they are permitted for somebody to stay in them. And this amendment tonight is just, it's identifying a recreational vehicle because there is so many different kinds of them. And that's what we're looking at tonight. It's, Mr. Doty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agreed with the statement Ms. Green made about the initial hookup. I made that point when we discussed making it illegal to live in them, and the body of the commission voted to go ahead and say that it was illegal to reside in them on personal property. That's already been done and dealt with. This is just to define what they
Yes.
are. You know, I was the only one that voted that way to not do it, but that's already passed. That's a done deal. We've already passed it. Well, this is just a resolution defining what they are. So if somebody's wanting to do more than that, we need to have other documentation brought up, because, you know, this specifically says just a definition. Applies a definition.
That's as I said a while ago, it's just a definition because it's already been on the books. Any other questions?
Okay, so it does say that if you have a building permit,
Yes.
that's our avenue.
That would be an active building permit of in process of building though, Commissioner Howell.
The camper will be allowed to be lived in on the property, taking care of the sewer and the electricity until the certificate of occupancy has been issued.
Yes, sir.
Once the certificate of occupancy has been issued, then the camper has to go. It has to be
Okay.
closed down.
So I've got what you're saying. So the permit, when you get a permit, does it say you have a year, or does it even say
When we issue a building permit, you
Yes, sir.
have 6 months to start that building.
to start?
Yes.
But you don't have
From
to,
the date of that permit, you have 6 months to start. Then at that point, you must be working on the building. You can't just stop for 6 months because of this or that. You must continue working on the building. I don't think we have any set time that you have to be done because some structures are big, some are small. But you have 6 months to start it, and you have to
Yes,
be
sir.
working on it, so to speak.
And some people build their own, which takes longer to do that.
okay, thank you.
Could you please, Chairman,
Yes.
could you please reiterate an idea? The lady spoke that someone gave her, we've not allowed living in campers for some time. Do we have an approximate year that came into play? Do we know that right away?
We've adopted the International Building Code, we first adopted the Southern Building Code, and then we adopted the International Building Code.
2018.
Around 2006 or 2008. That building code requires a person who wants to build a house to get a permit.
Mhm.
That permit, the type of residential permit, allows and requires that building process to be inspected by a building inspector. So if the plumbing is right, so if the electrical is right, so if all of those things that have to do with safety are done properly and correctly. That's our zoning, that's part of our zoning that the state authorizes all the time in Tennessee to use and to maintain the county. The International Building Code says that you cannot have, you've got to have a certain kind of foundation, and campers and structures that don't have it.
Yeah.
We talked about how we attempted to, in some degree, enforce those regulations just on the International Building Code. So what we've already done, this body has already adopted a prohibition. And now we're trying to define what types of structures are included within the prohibition.
Okay.
That's what I intend to do. If I can share.
Yes.
So all of those things are done to protect the citizenry, and it falls on people like this lady over here, and I'm sorry that it does so, because it's not a happy situation. But I think y'all owe a duty and responsibility to the citizens of this county. People want to bar it up. People aren't dumping sewage on the county. So we've got those laws in place.
We also have a minimum square footage. It was mentioned tiny homes. We don't allow that either.
No, that's also under zoning regulations. They will not allow that.
True.
Can I address that real quick?
Yes, sir. A small home, yes.
Then it has to be on a foundation, it has to be inspected through the process, and the building code has the square footage per unit.
Understood. Right, not like a tiny home that has been moved in here. Sure.
Okay, okay,
Understood.
okay.
Understood. There's a square footage limit, though, isn't there? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Hey, Rod. What we're doing here, Mr. Neves.
This is, we've already voted you can't live in a camper.
Yes.
This is just a formality.
Identifies recreational
State what it
vehicle.
is.
Makes it clear to the code.
So right now, McKinney can go out and kick people out in campers, right?
Well, they can go and give them notice and citation that they are violating the regulations.
Got a big job. There's a lot of them out there.
They've done it before.
Okay.
No, they haven't done it since I've been here,
Okay.
10 years.
Yes, go ahead.
Chris, this may involve you, but just to clarify, I personally think, the needs of many outweigh the needs of the few logically, and that's what we're trying to do here. I have a family, Rhonda Gale Morgan is related to my past wife. So I don't know if I could, I guess vote on this, but I do want to say that I do agree that, we do have something in place, and we are only doing a resolution to define what a camper is tonight. So my question would be, should I abstain from voting because of the relationship with Kathy?
I think you have to, you've announced that conflict, and you've done what you need to do, and if you say that you'll vote your conscience, and you don't feel that that's a problem for you, then
Okay.
you may vote.
Okay, I think I'll vote my conscience tonight. That's all.
All right, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a first, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
No.
Roll call or ask how many.
How many was that?
One.
No.
Two?
We have 2 noes. Any other abstention or any other no votes on the RV Camper Committee on this vote? Are there anyone else?
I just want to add a little something to this. This week, last week, I guess you all heard about a fire over on Stansbury Road. It didn't involve campers, but the campers were there on the site. And the gentleman's shop and barn went up in flames. And there was 2 campers there. And as I loaded some cattle, I went on over to the place, and a 35-foot Durango camper fifth wheel was sitting there. And in less than 10 minutes, there was nothing left but a frame. So that is the scary thing. And we also had a fire up in Russellville for Christmas that one burnt in less than 15 minutes total. So I just wanted to throw it in there. Both of those campers burnt. And I was just amazed, even with them trying to put water on it, that it disintegrated. And it was in less than 10 minutes that it was gone. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Long of RV Camper Study. We'll now move into our Education Committee. Chairman Harville, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call the Education Committee to order here. Anyone wishing to address this committee, we have 3 minutes.
Joe Stevens Road. I was at the school meeting in December when they passed the resolution that's in your packet opposing vouchers. At that meeting, I spoke in favor of the resolution that the Board of Education passed and opposing the use of tax money to provide private vouchers or vouchers for attending private schools. I wanted to look at a couple of, I guess you'd say, paragraphs out of the school resolution because I think they sum it up. I thought it was a very well-written resolution, and I have seen others written by various other counties and or school systems, city school systems even. Recently, Anderson County, Clinton City Schools, and Oak Ridge City Schools passed a resolution opposing the use of state tax money for private education. What I'd like to read is, and again, this is from the resolution in your packet, the Hamblen County Department of Education is a cornerstone of the local community, providing education services to all students, regardless of background, need, or ability. I think that is a key, a cornerstone of the resolution itself. In Tennessee, our Constitution provides for a free public education. It does not talk about funding private schools or any other type of required funding. It mentions that the Hamblen County Department of Education offers an array of specialized programs, including special education services, career and technical education training, English language learning, and all these are important for meeting both individual student needs and the Tennessee Constitution's requirement of a free public education. At the end, they have that they resolve that they hereby express opposition to the Governor's Education Freedom Act. Now, that's a nice title, as we all like to do, you know, hey, that sounds good. But it's going to, if you're using public tax dollars, in my opinion, they should go for public education. And we can say, oh, it's extra money they have, and it may be. But if the state is sitting there on extra money, give it to our public schools.
Amen.
Or maybe in Hamblen County, give it to our roads, or both. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? All right, if the committee will bear with me, I'd like to speak on this. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. Spent 42 years in some form of education, and I will always advocate for public education. As Ms. Noe pointed out, it is a constitutional right. I'll also advocate for a parent's right to homeschool or attend a private school. But I will not advocate for taking public tax monies and channeling them to private institutions, at least not until the playing field is level. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's inequalities in teacher and school licensure, admission standards, academic standards, budget transparency, testing requirements, special ed services, ELL services. I could go on and on. I do refer you to the Hamblen County Department of Education resolution. I agree it is well written. I would look at a couple of different parts there. The last paragraph on the first page, channeling tax dollars into private schools that do not face state-approved academic standards, do not make budgets public, do not adhere to open meetings and record laws, do not publicly report on student achievement, and do not face the public accountability requirements contained in major federal laws, including special education and English second language services.
They screen their students. They do not take all students like a public school does. I just don't think it's a level playing field. And as I said, this is public tax money, and it needs to go to public schools. With that, I will say one other thing, and again, this is in the resolution. This does threaten the district's ability to maintain the quality of its educational offerings as ESAs would divert state funds to private actors and disrupt local control of education. Basically, what that means is we could be facing tax increases to fund these shortfalls ourselves. To say this is an Education Freedom Act, I don't agree with. They have freedom already to go to a private school or a homeschool. Public funds do not need to be used for that. I will open this up to the committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Green.
I agree 100%. We have excellent public schools. I went through it, my children went through it. And when they talk about the private schools being better, one of my children's a PhD, the other's a bachelor's. Very proud that they continued their education. But it was through excellent teachers and an excellent level of education in Hamblen County. We don't need to shortchange our schools. I'm one of these folks that think we need to back up and fight for our schools. And you are 100% right. When it comes to it shortchanging, it's going to come back to this commission. And I'm afraid due to the jail, we're going to be stretched to the gill anyway if the roads don't get us. But we definitely need to consider what this is. I do think the title camouflages, to be brutally honest with it. But I'm like you. I think it's important for our schools. I think it's important to stand and be counted. Thank you for your stand.
Thank you. Anyone else, Mr.?
I'd like to say that this week I did talk with Superintendent Bunch in regards to us joining him with this resolution. I also contacted David Connor. He's over the executive director of the Tennessee County Services Association. Also the Tennessee County Commission Association, just because I know the opposition to this is high within those bodies, and those are lobbying bodies to the state legislature. So they had different sample resolutions that we could do, but it turns out with the wording that is before us, that it would encompass our thoughts. Well, if the majority votes that way. The point is, we all agree this could affect county taxpayers at some other point. Right now, the state's saying no one's held harmless. We know that could change. I feel that public money needs to stay in public schools, and therefore I would like to make a motion that we join the school system's resolution, and we could put our own whereas Hamblen County Legislative Body agrees with Hamblen County School Board.
I
Second that.
Thank you. The verbiage is not there yet. I'm just in notion. We can have that ready before next week. That's my motion. We have a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I think it's all gonna come down to what the state legislature tells us we're gonna do.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, we don't know all the particulars about it, because it's not even out of committee yet. It's not been before a vote. So a lot of times you get that cart in front of your horse. I mean, it's good to do this if that's what
Right.
they want to do, but.
Could I
but you've gotta-
redirect?
Excuse me, I got the floor.
I'm sorry,
You've got to wait till, I think you're gonna need to wait to see what's happened at the state of Tennessee.
Right.
But that's the deciding point, period.
Chairman, may I redirect on that?
You may.
So in my conversation this week with those folks in Nashville, that's what they had first told me a week ago, is to be more specific in our resolution. But coming with the verbiage of this particular resolution, it encompasses the body. You're right. If the state says they're going to do vouchers, the state will do vouchers. We are merely stating as our commission that we are opposed to that. And does that carry any weight? No, sir, it does not. Our state legislatures, we have 2 that represent parts of Hamblen County plus 1 state senator. They need to know our opposition to such things. Rural counties could be more affected than our county. We have a private institution within our county or right adjacent to us. There are rural counties that do not. And you take funding out of their schools at some point, it could very much decimate them. So therefore, my motion stands. I was just redirecting that Wayne is correct. It is not through committee. It has to go through committees, subcommittees. It has a long way to go before this program comes out in actual language. Right now, it's what they call a caption bill. It can take many forms. Right now, we don't know. But yet, this resolution is broad enough, and the fact that it states Education Freedom Act, and also it states well as any other voucher or education savings account. So therefore, I stand on my motion.
Okay, Ms. Howell?
It's also, I agree with what has been said, but not only are we sending a message, but it's incumbent on citizens to write, well, I'm big on writing, but to notify their representative that we're not about this. I mean, as an individual, and if you get 15 letters on your desk, well, of course, none, y'all do email. If you do that, then, then we've taken a further step. It's incumbent upon citizens as well to state this, because you're right, it will happen in the state. They make the decision, but we are registering the no with our resolution. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Long?
Just to reiterate what she's saying, I have sent a thing to the governor and reminded him, as candidate Bill Lee sat across the lunch table in front of me in Granger County High School. There was 4 of us at that table. And my question to him, he asked me where I worked. I told him. I said, the question I have for you tonight before I decide to even vote for you, how do you stand on vouchers and charter schools? And he said, no way in the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
I sent that letter to him, telling him what he said, and called him out on it. Everybody needs to contact your representative, send letters, because this will go to committee, subcommittee. It'll get watered down probably. But I think he will try to push some of this through somehow or another. So we really need to make sure that people get active on this.
Very good.
Thank you.
You need to really, they need to know where you stand.
Yeah.
Being on the TWS level, we deal with that all the time. We have lobbyists that are up there and talking to them. We have a proposal, Bobby would know a little bit about this, concerning transfers and eligibility. So many of those people they have kids in those private schools, and therefore sending that money to those private schools, we have a very hard time with just eligibility. It's because they're pushing. We have to meet with them, lobby with them. We're trying to do this, and sometimes we have to give a lot in order to get what we think is best for the school. But you better let them know where you stand.
And I will say, the way this has kind of been worded, money would not go to parents or students. The money goes directly to the private schools.
Ouch.
Now, you may be eligible for a voucher, but you may not be admitted to the school. They don't have to take you if they don't want to. That's just the way it is.
That's a good point.
This may be extra for that student. They're already getting some.
Exactly. It will be. They're going to up their cost. Mr. Horn.
And you won't be able to find out what they're going to use that money for. They could use it to buy a bus.
That's in the bill that I've seen. Yes. I will say one last thing, then we'll call a vote. When your Commissioner of Education in her testimony about test scores for private schools says, well, they're nothing to write home about, but the parents are happy. That is sure not much of an endorsement. All right, we have a motion and a second to join the resolution from the Hamblen County Department of Education and add our whereas that our commission supports this resolution from the Hamblen County Department of Education, and we will have that ready to go at the next meeting. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Harville. We will now move into our Calendar Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I have any visitors wishing to address this committee? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Item 3A, old business, we have none. Item 4A is a review of the regular calendar items, and please bear with me because we have several changes to this calendar. If you'll look at your regular calendar, under 11A, maintenance, repair, sanitation vehicles, all that will be moved to the information contained in J4, which is where it was brought up in the meeting as the sanitation vehicles. Item 11B, the commercial lease agreement and production commission. The dates on that will be changed from February 1st to July 31st with adjusted cost for the usage in January. Item 11E will be removed at this time as a resolution for water infrastructure grants for the engineering services. Then we will be adding the RV Camper Study Committee with Resolution 24- that defines a recreational vehicle. And we'll have an Education Committee with our resolution supporting the Hamblen County Department of Education's resolution against school vouchers. That was a lot of changes for one.
Right. Okay, let's go over that one more time, please. Just and reiterate, please.
I will.
11A.
11A under Finance Committee will be moved to J4, which is Sanitation Department, which this is the repair of the vehicles discussion. Item 11B, Commercial Lease Agreement for Election Commission. The dates on that will be changed from January 1st through June 30th to February 1st through July 31st with proactive payment for the times we've used in January included. Item 11E, which is Resolution 24-, which is the contract for Pro E Engineering for the water infrastructure grants. That will be removed. Then we will be adding the RV Camper Study Committee, Resolution 24- that defines a recreational vehicle.
That'll be number 14, you think?
I would assume put it as 14.
After Public Services, we'll go,
Is that not up there on 7 and 8?
Yes, it is. It's already in here.
Yeah, it's 7 and 8. It's a public hearing and then the vote, the resolution vote.
I stand corrected. Thank you.
there we go. All right, good deal.
Thank you. I hadn't
Good deal.
seen that one. But then we will add, which will be item 14, Education Committee, which is our resolution supporting the Hamblen County Department of Education's resolution against school vouchers. Now, do I have a motion to approve? Motion, Ms. Ahern. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Reed. Any discussion on these items? That being said, call the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Have the review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Holmes. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. Folks, that concludes our business for tonight. Any questions? Yes, Commissioner Horner.
I just want to say on behalf of my family and myself, all the visits, the texts, the prayers and all for our family, for the loss of my sister, meant a lot. As one commissioner said, we had a quorum.
Yeah.
It was awesome, but thank y'all.
Yeah, you're welcome. Least we could do. Before you have several things at your desk you may want to take note of, stormwater information, and also the annual summary from the Planning and Zoning Department. There's also an open house for the Lakeway Area Metropolitan Transportation folks. They're having an open house to discuss their 2050 vision for our community. That would be on Thursday, February the 15th, if anyone is interested. Are all minds clear? We are adjourned.